Welcome to another edition of our JMM Expert Insights Series. Today we are joined by Brett Mitchell, the Executive Chairman of Uvre Limited. Brett, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having us again, Jane. It's great to get the opportunity to talk to your investor base.
Absolutely. And I think for those who are unfamiliar with the Uvre story, perhaps could you give us just a quick overview of the company?
Sure. Well, Uvre was essentially a mining shell looking for a deal 12 months ago. And a couple of months ago, we just completed the acquisition of AustroGold Limited, which was 5 gold projects in New Zealand. 3 of them are brownfields projects, ex-production assets, and led by our main project at Waitekauri, which we've just recently commenced our first drilling program on, and we're drilling ahead right now. Waitekauri is in effectively the Waitekauri project is only 5 kilometres from Waihi, which is effectively the Kalgoorlie of New Zealand. It's in the Hauraki Goldfield. The Hauraki Goldfield has been operating for 150, 160 years. Over 60 gold mines there in that time. Waihi back in the 1890s, 1900s had the largest population in New Zealand due to the gold mining. So it's a big gold mining centre. And yeah, our project sits within 5 to 7 kilometres of OceanaGold's 2 main projects in the North Island of New Zealand, both the Waihi gold mine itself and also WKP, which is a very large deposit, only 5 kilometres to the north of our Waitekauri project, which is 2.2 million ounces at 14 grams. And that's what we're chasing now at our Waitekauri project where we're drilling.
Absolutely. And of course, given the project's location, you've just dual listed as well, haven't you? So perhaps give us a little bit of background on that.
Yes, so it was our new board following the acquisition of the AustroGold assets. Norm Seckold, who really needs no introduction, and his right-hand man Peter Nightingale joined the board, which consists now along with myself and Alex Passmore. And Norm previously was the chairman and founding shareholder of Santana, when Santana, as you and many of your investors and listeners would know, is an ASX market darling, New Zealand gold project, rise and shine, going into development right now. And Norm dual listed Santana onto the NZX before he departed. And so we're essentially the Uvre strategy from our corporate perspective and also building the projects. It's almost Norm Seckold Santana 2.0, and we're following that through with the dual listing, which has just occurred on the 16th of October. So now we're listed in both countries, and there's quite a not only the investor base that we will tap into there, but in terms of showing our commitment to the country and the projects and our long-term vision for finding and building and operating gold mines in New Zealand. That's what it will help us do.
Absolutely, and well done on that one as well. But let's actually jump into the project now. So, and you touched on this brownfields gold project. How did the acquisition actually come about? And what are the key assets and what makes them so compelling?
Well, one of the really compelling things is the gold price doing what it's doing, and we're fortunate that we started focusing 12 months ago, the Uvre board, and looking at some high quality gold assets to acquire to take the company forward. In that period of time, as everyone would know, the gold price just recently touched 6,000 Aussie dollars an ounce, which is unbelievable. Because when we started negotiating this transaction only 9 months ago, it was sub $4,000 an ounce. So we've had but notwithstanding that, there's a couple of things that made it compelling. Norm Seckold and his group, Norm's a very, very successful and well-known person in the Australian mining industry. He's taken 6 projects from exploration into production. He's not an explorationist. That's not what he's looking for, the big drill hit. He's about finding projects, and he's a business builder, he calls himself. So we wanted brownfields projects, ex-production assets, which is what we've got, both at Waitekauri, where there's 3 old mines there that all produced around 30,000 ounces at sort of 40 to 50 grams a tonne. It's epithermal gold, very high grade, so you don't need to find a lot of it. And then we've got additionally 2 additional brownfields historic producing mines in the South Island portfolio at Invincible and Otorahua. So it was gold price the fact that the Norm Seckold was behind it, been there and done that, and his name and reputation, and what he's done in building businesses before and mines, and brownfields is I've been doing the mining game for 25 years now, and exploration is lots of fun, but it's not hard, and it's de-risked a lot by acquiring brownfields projects, which that based on previous production, it's there. It's a matter of finding more because the exploration hasn't been done, or the work hasn't been done in recent years. And in price increases with commodity price, projects get left behind a lot of the time because the commodity prices don't make them economic. And suddenly the gold price where it is today, there's a lot of value in spending a lot of money in the drill bit to try and find more gold where there was where it was mined previously.
Oh, you're 100% right. I mean, those all-time gold highs are pretty phenomenal. And in fact, actually, I was looking through your presentation, your recent presentation, which is lodged on the ASX. You've referenced sort of these historic trenching results. I think there were 13 meters at sort of 80 grams per ton, and then another 24 at 45 grams per ton gold. I mean, how do you interpret those kind of results, and what do they sort of signal about the exploration upside ahead of the drilling? And this is obviously at the Jubilee Historic Gold Mine.
Yeah, this is at Jubilee. So what I've been speaking about the Waitekauri project, which is our flagship project, and that's in the Waihi area. Only, yeah, our eastern tenement boundary is only 1 kilometre from the Waihi mine itself. But on the Waitekauri project, we have three historic mines. We have Sovereign, Scotia, and Jubilee, and I touched on those before that in terms of their production profiles. But our first priority target is at Jubilee. Now, recently we uncovered this work that was done by Cyprus Gold in 1991 with these trenching results. And numbers like 13 meters, and yes, they are trenches and they're all along production drives, but 13 meters at 80 grams is, you don't see numbers like that very often. So what that has given us is further confidence in terms of our drilling program at Jubilee. The program we've started drilling our first hole at Scotia South, which is a more of an exploration project. We're doing 2 holes there, and then we're putting about 3,000 meters of diamond drilling into Jubilee, and we're drilling deeper than the old drives went down. So the whole strategy of this initial drilling program is not much drilling's been done below 200 meters. So we're drilling 7 or 8 holes down to about 400 meters to test the depth extensions of the known ore bodies that were mined down to about 200 meters and where these trenching results came from.
Well, let's actually dig into the drill program, this maiden drill program you've got the three targets there. How's the program been structured, and milestones? What should investors be looking out for as the program advances?
Yeah, listen, we're pretty lucky because, as we know, with drilling programs, it's all about getting the results. Once you start, investors are keen, as I am in the companies I invest into, to actually get the results from the program. In Waihi itself, it's a mining town, as I've explained. It has been for 150 years. OceanaGold's, it's their head office and home base in New Zealand. They also operate and run the Macraes mine in the South Island, not the Otago Goldfields, but up here at Waihi is their home base. And there's an SGS lab in Waihi. So our project's only 10 kilometres away from the SGS lab. We will get turnaround times on our assays of 3 to 4 weeks. So we've started drilling, as you know, and as we announced a couple of weeks ago. We're 2 weeks into that. So we should be starting to get some results. So we started at Scotia South, and that's a really interesting prospect that it was out, and it's in the presentation. There's a photo of Jason Beckton, Peter Zittner, and myself in that presentation on the drill program page, standing on these outcropping white rocks, which is epithermal quartz veins, which had never been drill tested, and they run in the same structural orientation in this northeast southwest structural orientation that hosts 4 million ounce plus deposits in this whole structural trend, which the furthest one to the north is WKP deposit, which I mentioned before, which is Oceana's big one of 2.2 million ounces at 14 grams. And the epithermal quartz outcropping at Scotia South, never been drill tested. It's extremely unusual, and you just wouldn't find that sort of thing anywhere where there's been a lot of exploration work done in past decades. But because New Zealand's been a bit of a closed shop for mining until very recently, where they've had to change their philosophies and their strategies to drive economic growth and investment, yeah, we were able to pick this project up, and we're starting at Scotia, and then we're moving on to Jubilee.
Let's move over to funding now. So the company's recently completed a $4 million equity raise. You've got about 5.5 in cash today. So how does this position you for the upcoming exploration cycle? Are you going to need further funding to ramp up activity?
No, we're really fortunate. We got with the money we've got in the bank, and the activities that we've got planned. This initial drilling activity on the Waitekauri project at Jubilee and Scotia. That's going to cost us, around about $500,000. So we're going to have a lot of money after this phase one drilling program. We're going to have a lot of money left in the bank, so we can get really aggressive with the drill bit, with a set follow-up phase of a couple of phases of drilling up at Waitekauri, as well as down in the south. We're planning to start in the first half of next year to be hopefully drilling either or both Otahuhu and Invincible. So no, we got lots of money in the bank. We're not coming back to the market for a while. So we got plenty of money there to drill a lot of holes.
I know we've touched on this earlier, but the Uvre board was strengthened obviously with Norm Seckhold and Peter Nightingale. In fact, Norm's now a substantial shareholder. So what does their involvement bring to the company, and how is it going to shape the strategy and project execution going forward?
Yeah, well, it's that wealth of experience and success, and they know they've been there, done it before. As I said before, Norman and his team, ably assisted by Peter, on most of his projects. They've taken 6 exploration projects into production. It's most recently Nickel Industries, which Norm's exec chair of still, starting with Bolnisi about 20 years ago, and to bring that knowledge and expertise, that credibility to the board means a number of things. Not saying making the same mistakes you make in the past as a younger person, as we know, in all walks of life. But also it's about the credibility of bringing the right shareholders to the table. We've got an amazing shareholder base now, and a very, very strong one. And I'm being approached, on a weekly basis now by different investment banks and broking houses looking to raise money for us, because they're very, very excited, which is a nice position to be in. Very excited about what we've got, the team we've got, the quality of the projects, brownfields projects, gold in New Zealand, and in New Zealand where they're fast tracking approval processes to get these projects moving, because they need the foreign investment. So we're very fortunate to have Norm and Peter on the board, it's a good board set for moving forward.
Absolutely. I mean, great position to be in, right? So I think, but beyond the gold in New Zealand, the company still holds exposure to those uranium projects in the USA and Australia.
Yep.
How are you balancing these projects along with the new gold assets, particularly in the next sort of 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, it's a good question, because, and I get asked that a bit. Listen, we're not spending any material money on those assets. Where we are looking at our total focus. We're a relatively small team, and we don't. $5 million is a lot of money in the bank for an exploration company, but that's not a lot of money in reality. So we've got to be pretty focused on what we do, and our full focus is on our New Zealand gold projects. And we are looking at opportunities to potentially to divest of our uranium projects in the sort of near term. There are a couple of interesting projects, and we've sort of had discussions with people on those. We have very minimum expenditure commitments on the South Australian projects, and we've just paid the annual lease fees for the US project. So we're under no financial pressure to spend money on them.
And what's a question that I ask to everyone actually? Key catalysts. What are shareholders looking forward to over the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, well, it's really started with the drilling. There's been a number of catalysts already. We completed our transaction. We've done the capital raising. We're now dual listed on the NZX, and we're drilling ahead now at our flagship brownfields gold project at Waitekauri. So, we've ticked a lot of key milestones and achievements over the last 6 months. It's been a really exciting start to the journey, but now we're going to be getting results over the next coming weeks. Over the next 1 to 3 months, we're going to be getting results out of the Waitekauri project. from Jubilee and Scotia, which is really really exciting. The reality is, in that gold field with that high grade gold, based on WKP and Waihi and those historical numbers that we spoke about before from the trenching, the historical production of at 30 or 40 grams. We get some nice hits out of that. It's going to be very very exciting for shareholders. Then on top of that, we'll be doing work on our projects to the south to get them drill ready for first half of next year, and we're also keeping our eye out on other gold projects in New Zealand. There are we are actively looking. We wouldn't want to increase the number of projects in our portfolio to more than the current five, but if we were to find another project that help complement and improve the current portfolio, where we're also looking at that as well.
Actually, Brett, one more question. For investors that are watching here today, what do you think personally sets Uvre apart from other companies, and why should investors be adding it to the portfolio?
Yeah, a couple of key things. It's a bit of good luck and good management at the same time, but we've been an early mover into the New Zealand gold space, which has suddenly got pretty hot in the market right now. We're getting a lot of attention, and the fact is that Jason Beckton had his eye on this Waitekauri project for 13 years and been watching it and picked it up, and that's how we've got hold of it. So it's a quality asset. We're an early mover into New Zealand. The gold price is continuing to rise, and the reality is we're going to have results coming into the market from our lead project in an incredibly gold-rich province over the coming weeks and months, and ongoing through 2026.
Well, Brett, thanks again for your time today. Very exciting time for you, Ray. Looking forward to future updates.
Thanks, Jane. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and your investors.